Hello, it is Kristine Milkovich here, and we are beginning our May Community Spotlight interview. And we have the great honor and good fortune of having one of our most favorite local businesses right here near my home, if I could personalize it for a minute, in really the sort of White Center, West Seattle grid. And we have today the owners of the company called Good Dog. We have Jeff, and we have Kevin. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, gentlemen, before we get going on just hearing a little bit about who you are and your place in the community and sharing our own testimonial, how you greatly impact our lives and work to cover such a need in the personal life of myself and my wife, Chris, being that we go to Good Dog. That's our place. We do want to let the community out there that is checking in on this video that you are a daycare boarding facility, hence the name. I just wanted to make that clear. And just, we're just going to have fun, communicating and talking and chatting, just like newer local community friends. So on that note, I'd love to hear Jeff and Kevin a little bit about how long have you had Good Dog? Just give us a little bit of a kind of a 1, 2, 3 on your history with the company.
We've had Good Dog 2 years now. We bought it in 2018. Prior to us buying it, it had been around for just over 20 years, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So it was a well-established local business. So we stepped into a good situation.
Oh, that's super fascinating. Again, I will be learning just as much as anyone else viewing. That's so cool. I did not know that. You guys are such a well-oiled machine. I would have never guessed. So another question that kind of comes to mind is, collectively as a business partnership, I'm assuming you've always kind of liked dogs, right? Call me crazy. But it's one thing, like I love my little Panda and Bamboo. And we love our dogs, but I just don't know that I would ever have what it takes to own a company and business around dogs. So we'd love to hear your inspiration around that and what it is for you two that said, you know what, we like dogs this much, let's try this.
Right. Well, I grew up with dogs, and I've had dogs ever since I was a little kid. And, we were finally able to get a dog after being together for a couple of years. And one of the things that we acknowledged was that, we were both working. We needed our French Bulldog Maddock. We needed to have a place for her to go during the day to get social interactions and, not be stuck at home for 8 hours a day. She was not a crate friendly dog. She did not like her crate. And
I get it.
and even when I had positions where she was able to come to work with me, we still took her to daycare a few times a week just for her to get that socialization in, and she loved it. We were a little nervous at first, but after the first couple of visits, she was like dragging us in there. So and you can always tell, and as a dog owner yourself, you could tell when your dogs are anxious or bored and they need to go to daycare.
Absolutely.
So I was we were living in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I was working, and I had a very long commute. And, after, fighting traffic for 2 hours to get back into San Francisco and to pick her up just in time at the daycare, I was all frazzled. But the thing that made me feel good at the end of the day was being there, watching people come in and you pick up their dogs, and the people were excited and happy to see the dogs, and the dogs were excited and happy to see their people. And I said, I want this. I want this to be my life, not this frazzled commuting thing that I was doing. And so I talked to Jeff and I said, what I want as my retirement career is I want to have a dog daycare so I can have this be like my everyday. And so he said, sure, why don't you look into that? Of course, me being the researcher that I am, a couple of days later, I came back and said, hey, Jeff, there is an opportunity in Seattle to get this dog daycare. Originally, it was sort of framed as something that was more of an absentee owner situation, because that's the way it had been run for years beforehand. But once we got involved with it, we realized that we needed to be a lot more hands-on. And we moved up here. And I had lived here for a while when I was a teenager, and I went to college here, and then went to San Francisco for 20 years. And so it was kind of a homecoming. My folks
Yeah.
in Snoqualmie, they're getting a little older. We thought we'd be taking care of them. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
we're new to the West Seattle area, but you know, I grew up here. I consider Seattle home.
Wow, that's a thank you, by the way, for sharing that personal testimonial. And I'm just going to say there's like a million things that made me chuckle and I could relate to. It's one, sort of like watch what you ask for, right?
Oh, for sure.
It's like, hi, honey, I'm home. Guess what? We're buying this business. So that's such a testament to you two as a partnership and as a team. And the other is, I have to say, because I just want to make sure I am absolutely giving this plug. So Panda, for those of you out there watching this video that don't know who that is, that's my and my wife's French dog. And Panda lives for going to Good Dog. And I can assure you, to Jeff and Kevin as the proprietors and the owners, I want to make sure you're hearing it directly from me, that Chris and I are absolute chopped liver when we're anywhere near Good Dog, let alone, does Panda not even want to have, 2 seconds with us, but he's like scrambling that little cute, Panda Frenchie body to get out of my Volkswagen in the morning. Yeah. So, it really warms our heart personally that is your brand story and that is your authentic story, and that's what drives you and that's what got you into your business, because we get to directly have the experience you just shared. When I'm heading off to the John L. Scott office in Bellevue or out into the field to provide services for buyers and sellers, I drop my shoulders, my pulse drops. I just go, my job right now is to now take care of my clients, because my little baby called Panda is in the hands of Good Dog. So that's a beautiful backstory to why you're into this. Another thing that always comes up for us in our community spotlight videos that we're so intrigued by is being entrepreneurial, being a local, what we would call, I believe respectfully, a smaller business, just like the Milkovich team, we deem ourselves that, certainly under the umbrella of very big businesses like the dog care industry and like real estate. What drives you, or what do you love most about kind of being in that subset? Like, what do you find the most rewarding? It could even be challenging. This is a transparent talk. But what is some things that just come up for you when you think about being a community entrepreneurial business?
I think for me personally, I grew up in a tiny town in Montana with 1,000 people. And so my experience growing up was that every business is a small business. And that's, I grew up with the impression that that's just what life was. And so I really admire and respected the small business owner. Fast forward several years, I was living in Long Beach, California, and I became the executive director of a business association. And 80 to 90% of those businesses were small businesses. And part of my job was to foster relationships with them and help them promote and help grow their businesses. And so I really got to see firsthand a lot of the struggles that small business owners face. And for some reason, it didn't scare me off enough. But,
we're just crazy enough to keep doing it.
We keep plugging along. And I think there's a combination of like being community-minded people. We always want to support our community and we want to be a part of the community. I think a lot of that for me comes from growing up in that small town. And a lot of it is we were raised in very similar manners. Our parents have the same kind of values and whatnot. So I think that kind of goes part and parcel with being a small business owner, wanting to be in the community. And it's just been a good experience. But Kevin's experience is a bit different than mine.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear a little bit of both of you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I grew up in the Woodinville area. Yeah, and
gorgeous.
My graduating class was like bigger than the population of his town.
Right.
So we had a little bit of a different experience in that. One of the things was that my dad has always, encouraged me and my brother to sort of be our own bosses. Don't be reliant on someone else, for your future. And for about 20 years, I've been working, and I still work in the e-commerce user experience design field. I'm currently at Alaska Airlines.
Okay.
And it's an extension of kind of what I do on a daily basis with my work. Like we do customer research and we test our designs and such with folks. And like, it's really rewarding for us to connect with the people who are actually going to use the designs we make. And so working at Good Dog, and Jeff and I actually frequently work the front desk either in the morning or at night, and we get to meet all of our customers, and it's really great to get that connection and that feedback directly from people.
Yeah. So you really both, just even in your own stories and in your own flavors, as I like to say, you both connect to that community vibe. It's just kind of the cloths you're cut from, and using the earlier humor, you have to love it to do it. Those were I use the words a little bit. We have to be a little bit crazy to say yes to it all, but really it comes down to, and you're both saying it in your own way, the heart of a servant. You're somebody that wants to serve. You want to give a great experience to people, and so that comes across not only in what you just shared, but again, myself being a customer of your company. Thank you. We could not thank you enough, and we appreciate you sharing that. And I'm just checking out my little cheat sheet here. I'm going to be really transparent because I don't want to miss a beat. How do you vet out, again, for those out there watching the video that do not take their little Panda like I have been to your facility, obviously pre-COVID. How is the process at Good Dog for vetting out the dog to ensure that it's, that it's a good match? What kind of does that process look like for our community watching, so that should they call you up or get on the email or your website after the bans are lifted, so that they can kind of be a little bit have an awareness of that?
It's actually it's a pretty simple process, but it's very important. For us, it's 2 steps. It's you come in, we invite your dog to come in for a temperament test that you schedule. And what we do is we put the dog in a room with usually similar sized dogs. And we have certain dogs that we know they do well in temperament tests. Our dog Maddock doesn't always do great in temperament tests. She's getting up there, and she's kind of to the point where if she feels like it, she'll participate. But sometimes she'll go into a temp test and just look around and sit in the corner and watch. So that's not the best help. But we do have dogs that we know do really well in temperament tests. And so we'll put the new dog in with those dogs in a little room. We monitor them, see how they interact. They'll sniff each other a little bit and see if they play a little bit. Some dogs are very scared because daycare is a new thing for them. So with that, we can start to make sure that we don't see any signs of aggression. So that's one of the biggest things we watch out for, because if it's an issue that a dog's a little bit shy, maybe not the most playful, those are things we can work with. But if a dog has a lot of aggression, that's a little bit beyond our scope of service, and we would need them to go out and work with a trainer and work on that. But once they pass the temperament test, then we ask them to come in for what we call our free trial day. It's not actually a full day. It's a 2 to 4 hour period that we ask you to come back, drop your dog off when you leave the building, and then we put them in one of our regular playrooms and see how they do. Most of the time, if a dog does well on their temperament test, they'll sail through their trial day. And assuming all that goes well, then we invite you to come back for daycare or boarding or both.
Sure.
But
nice.
It's important to note that aggression is something that we just, that's something we have to watch out for, because it can cause a lot of issues down the road. But if you're worried about a dog that is maybe a little shy and isn't a great player, those are skills that we can work on them with.
Right. And we have a mix of dogs, some that are like much more playful and energetic, and some that are more chill. And so we can accommodate most of those dogs.
Yeah.
And the thing to remember is that dogs are pack animals. And so the group of dogs that come to Good Dog become a pack. And you want to make sure that you're introducing a good dog to the pack, and then they're going to sort of develop their own way of interacting with each other. And as you see, when we moved and reopened, the pack coming back together, the dogs were so excited to see each other, was pretty awesome. It's kind of amazing to watch dogs make friends.
Yes.
It really is. One other thing to note too is our initial separation how we just decide where the dogs go is by size. So obviously Panda, Maddox, they're French Bulldogs. They're going to go in the small dog room.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you'll peek into the small dog room and you'll see a dog in there that seems really out of place because they're a big dog. We have a dog named Gigi, and she is a Labradoodle or a poodle, but she's this big, floppy, curly dog. But she's just the sweetest, kindest, gentlest, sweet dog. She doesn't excel in the big dog room.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a big dog in there that's got a lot of personality and wants to play, and Gigi wants none of that.
Yeah.
She wants to go up in the little dog room and play with the little dogs.
Yeah.
I think in her mind, she thinks she is a little dog.
Right.
We initially separate dogs by size, but then temperament is really where it's all determined, right? And how they mix with each other.
Yes. And I love everything that you guys just explained, because if I could just share my own little testimonial about that as a customer of yours, I love as a consumer hearing that consultative side of you. That makes me know that my dog Panda isn't just, a one size fits all. To your point, you're initially benching a dog on size and such, which makes all the sense in the world. But then you're really taking the time and the care to be like, I think this dog would have a much better 6-7 hours here while mommy's off, making a living and taking care of her clients. And you identify sort of where those personalities are. And that's brilliant. I mean, I just so appreciate that you take it to that level. So thank you. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Well, so as we're kind of winding down here, I do have a final question, and I'm just throwing this one little idea in that just came to me. So just stick with me here. For those that are watching, I mean, certainly it's boarding and daycare, but can you maybe just, and certainly people can find this online, but since we're here, can you just give us a quick snapshot of when you do go to full capacity, what your hours are, kind of drop off, pick up? If you could just educate us a little bit on that, that would be great. And then we'll get to the final question.
Okay. Sure. As we ramp up and reopen, we're going to have some limited hours. We're going to start with Monday through Friday, 8 to 6. Our regular hours are 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, 8 to 6 on Saturday, Sunday by appointment. So we'll definitely get back to that. But as we ramp up and get used to what living in a COVID world and being a business owner is, we have to figure out the best way to keep our staff and our clients safe and happy. So we're gonna move into it a little more slowly.
Sure, that makes sense.
So that's what our plan is.
Yeah. And I know this is all kind of a moving target as we're all figuring out how to define today's new normal and what that might look like in a week or a month. So just wanted to make sure people kind of had an idea of what that scope could be. So, thank you guys so much for taking this time. I just learned a ton about you, and cannot wait, whether it's a soft launch, as we like to say, and or when you get to full capacity, to get Panda back there. If he could talk in the human language, he'd be like, I know he's chomping at the bit, and this is you all, and this is your staff. He just gets so much love, and he just, all of it. He behaves better. He looks and feels healthier, and certainly I know he just gets a ton of protection and love, so that when we're away, we don't have to worry about it. But I could sit here and talk about how much I love you guys and your company till I blue in the face. But if we could hear it from you two, just what is the best way that we can support you? Being a local business, being entrepreneurial, working to go to your soft reentry, and certainly when you get to full expansion. Maybe just as a final note here, we can all just hear a little bit about what would be most helpful to you right now. Sure.
The bottom line is bring your dogs in. In order for us to succeed, we need a minimum of 40 dogs a day, up to 60. And so if we can hit that 40 to 60 dogs a day, we'll be good for a while. We do have a little bit more of the building that can be built out, so we can eventually we want to expand to 80 dogs a day. We have to reestablish our 40 to 60 pattern. And before we closed, we had customers that wanted to buy extra packages to help support us, and we kept telling them the best thing you can do is just keep bringing your dogs in once we're open. Use up your packages, buy a new package, and encourage your friends to come in. Because as long as there are dogs in the building, we'll be good. Excellent.
And it's a little bit of a challenge when we're anticipating, bigger businesses opening up and that sort of thing, but there's also a sort of a trend towards working at home. And it's convenient to have your dog at home while you're working at home. But if the dogs, especially if they have been going to daycare, they miss it, as you were saying with Panda. And
terribly.
And you can always tell, like I said before, you can always tell when it's time to go to daycare.
Yes.
Paddock is definitely tired of us.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
We have an online store that has some great Good Dog merch and Celeste Cattle merch that all reasonably priced, and our background is design, so we like to do stuff like that. So well.
Yes, and excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jeff. I love your design. I love your logo. Love, orange is my sister Lisa's favorite color, whom you will meet at some point, my business partner. Well, on that note, I'm just going to share personally, I understand that you're kind of thinking about, will this new time in our lives and our history, I guess, to be a little more expansive, have more professionals working from home. But I know for Chris and I, my wife, like, we cannot wait. we love our dogs. We have 2. We love Panda, but we are going to be full force. We're going to be back in there and ensuring that for socialization, for breaks, for care, for us being able to then maybe not have those interruptions or, the responsibilities that it takes obviously throughout a day to take care of a dog properly, love on a dog, train a dog. We are wholeheartedly going to be back. So we'll definitely try to wrangle up some more folks that have that same sentiment.
We appreciate it. We miss Panda too.
Oh, well, he misses you guys so much. And we sure appreciate you guys taking this time out of your day. Sitting down and talking to all of us, allowing us to get to know who you are as men, as business professionals, as a team, as a company, a little bit more. So on behalf of the Milkovich team, we thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Yes, and I know we're just down the road, so I'll either see you in the community here, or we'll definitely see you guys when you can reopen at your brick and mortar.
Definitely. We'll see.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.